cannot turn your phone while recording.
It wants you to do the other way. Sorry, honey. We probably should have done a trial run. Have you started it yet? Okay. Hey guys, I'm so excited that we are here today on my first Facebook Live cooking demonstration. I'm going to wait for a couple of people to join in before we start. I just wanted to say, again, thank you for being here, and first off, blanket apology for any time I sound like a moron, which will probably happen a lot. Also, big props to my husband Corey, who is producer, director, and videographer. He's doing a great job. Corey, say hi. Wave in front of the camera.
I can't really wave in front of the camera, but I can say hi.
Okay. Hi, Corey. If there's any problems with quality or sound during the broadcast, please make a comment, and he will hopefully see that, and he can fix the problems that are happening. Do we have people are joined yet? Yes? Yeah. You can speak, you know. They know you're there. They don't think that.
At least 6.
Okay, so let's get going. So what we're going to make today, oh wait, one more thing. I almost forgot. If you have any questions about the recipe specifically or what I'm doing with the recipe, feel free to comment and ask questions, and Corey will pass them to me. If you have a question that doesn't have anything to do with cooking, but you want to ask it anyway, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So you can ask the question then. We'll let you know when that starts. So, let's talk about cookies. I think we've all had some really terrible sugar cookies in our lives. I have had my own share. I usually think they're kind of unimpressive and not very good, but these ones are amazing. They're like sugar cookies on crack. And the thing that makes them so good is this thing called brown butter, which is just like butter, or it is butter, but we've browned it and we've brought out we've browned the milk solids, I think is what they call it. I probably should have done research about that. But browning butter is kind of a tricky thing, and a lot of people are scared to do it, so that's why we decided to do this recipe, because I can show you like how to do it in a very easy, painless process, and then you can have really delicious cookies to eat during your isolation. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to brown the butter. I have it partially melted, but we're going to melt it the rest of the way, and Corey is going to bring the recording around here. This is a process that takes, I would say, like 5 or 6 minutes total. Here, bring the camera in here so they can see. So my butter is all melted, and you can see the white foam. That's the milk solids. So what we're going to do is we're going to be on like medium or so heat. You do not want it to be too hot. And we're going to wait for it to just kind of cook. And it's a process that doesn't usually take a huge amount of time, but you want to watch it really carefully, because if you let it go too far, it will burn, and then it will be burned butter, and that's not very good. You don't want to make your cookies with burned butter. What you really want is there's 2 factors. You want it to kind of have these little browned bits at the bottom, and then it will also kind of smell nutty, like if you toasted nuts in the oven, that's kind of what it might smell like. But as you can see here, we're trying to get going again. I let this cool too much probably. That's okay. We're just going to sit here and wait for it. But this is one of the things that one of the reasons why I wanted to do this recipe was because it is tricky, and I was intimidated the first time I did it, and I actually have a habit of not letting it brown enough. So it is going to bubble up a little bit, and that's totally fine. But like I said, make sure yours is on like a moderate temperature. You do not want it to, don't crank it up so it goes faster. That's a bad idea. That's something I probably would have done when I was, 10 years ago. But as you can see, it's starting to bubble up a little bit. Like I said, that foam, that's like the milk solids that's kind of separated a little bit. That's what's going to end up browning.
What about the bubbling?
That's fine. It's going to bubble. That's probably a little bit too hot now. The other thing I want to say is it doesn't really matter what kind of pan you use for this. A saucepan is totally fine. But I would suggest especially if you're doing this for the first time, make it a lighter colored pan so you can see that brownness as it develops. If you're using like a dark non-stick pan, it can be a lot harder to see. Ooh, that's getting really bubbly. It can be a lot harder to see the browning occurring. So yeah, this is just going to keep going for a while. And the reason I'm stirring it occasionally is you can kind of see that the white foam has kind of covered everything. And you kind of want to move it aside so you can kind of see the base of the pan and where it's coming. Because like I said, the change happens very quickly. 1 minute it's perfect, and the next minute you can't use it. And that would be a really long Facebook Live for us to do, so let's not do that. Something else I wanted to mention, the recipe that we're using is from Sally's Baking Addiction, which is an awesome blog. I love all of her recipes. She tests really extensively. I am not following the recipe exactly because, and I will say this for all of the people out there that know me really well, I am not great at following directions. My mother is laughing right now. So there are some things that she suggests that I don't do, and I'm going to explain why that is a little bit later on. You can see this is beginning to change a little bit. So we had the solids were covering it completely. Now it's beginning to cook a little bit more. If you've ever made candy, this is kind of like that, in that once you hit your spot, that's where it needs to be, and you don't want to go further than that. But I don't usually make candy because, like I said, I don't follow directions well. So candy for me is a bad thing.
You talking about caramel?
I can make caramel, like the caramel sauce, that's easy. But like the temperature thing and like the hard ball stage and the soft ball stage, it's fine. But like, yeah, that's too much for me to deal with. I was thinking about what kind of other challenging things we could do on Facebook Live. And I was thinking, like, should I, like, try to do really ambitious things? And I decided that, no, that's not a good idea for anybody. So anything we do is going to be stuff I know how to do. This foaming is totally normal. I would probably turn it down a little bit. Because, like I said, you're going to start seeing it brown, and you want to be able to see it. It's getting really foamy. Now you know why my husband has to clean the stove all the time.
Clean up aisle 5.
Okay, so can you see here how it's beginning to get a little bit darker? Can you smell it, Corey? It's getting a little nutty.
I can't, no.
I promise he doesn't have corona. But it's definitely beginning, God, it's like really foamy. The other thing too is that you can use unsalted or salted butter for this. I prefer salted because I like that kind of salty sweet in all my sweets. Why is it so foamy? Normally you can see it a lot better. This is why browning butter is a challenge, because it does things you don't expect. But if you can see the color, it kind of looks like yeast when you're blooming it. Like it's starting to get kind of that kind of chestnutty color. Make sure it's not like really burning. But I think
I smell it now.
Yeah, I think we're really close. I think I'm actually going to turn it off. Yeah, it's definitely. I'm hoping that it'll finish going down. Oh yeah, you can really see it. Like you can kind of see the brownness. This is actually probably perfect. So what we want to do is, after your butter is reached the perfect consistency, is you want to take it off the heat, because you need it to cool down a little bit before you make your cookies. Oh, here, come here. You can see it now. See that kind of like brownish color? That's perfect. You do not want it to be any darker than this. That would be bad. That's black butter.
And your phone disappeared.
My phone disappeared?
Foam.
Oh, foam. Yes, I was like, my phone's not over here. Folks, don't be like me. Okay, so we're going to let this cool, and then I'm going to go mix the dry ingredients. So coriander if you want to go back over there. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sift our dry ingredients. I am not usually somebody that likes to sift because it makes a huge mess. But when Corey put this flour in here, he mentioned that it was really clumpy. So if your flour is really clumpy, you should sift it. Normally, I'm anti-sifting. And I know my mom is thinking of one of those like sifting, what would you even call those? Sifting guns or whatever. Don't buy one of those. That's horrible. Just use a whisk like this.
Wow, the butter smell is like crazy now. No, I can smell it.
You made me nervous that it was like something bad smelling.
No, well, you asked me if I could smell it before. Now I can really smell it.
The one thing I want to say, and Sally mentions this too, is when you're measuring flour, if you can, now obviously if you have your flour in the paper bag it came in, you can't really do this without making a huge mess. I would probably do it anyway, but don't be like me. You want to kind of like fluff it around a little bit in the container and then fill it, and then you can use a knife, or you could be like me and just use your finger. Make sure it's nice and even. So we have 2 cups of flour. Some people weigh their flour. I'm not going to do that because that's just too hard. We bake because it's fun, not because we want to weigh everything. And 2 tablespoons. So there's your flour. I'm not going to knock anything over and make a huge mess. I've already told myself that's not happening. So this is usually where I make a huge mess. But I'm really trying not to. But this is really nice. Like I said, if you have lumpy flour, it gets all the lumps out. Some people suggest it because it gets all the inconsistencies out of if you have like sand or something else in your flour that you really don't want to have in your cookies. This is a great way of making sure that it's all good flour and not something else. Like I have, this one's like really lumpy. But as you know right now, beggars can't be choosers. If you found flour, good for you. So I just had a few little flour lumps. I'm just going to get rid of them. Okay, so we've got our 2 cups and 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And then we're going to put in our baking soda. 1 teaspoon. Okay, I was like, did I use the wrong one? Also, don't be like me when you're measuring. 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
So far we have requests for the stove, the island, and your shirt.
Requests for what?
That they want them.
They want the stove. This shirt I actually got in New Orleans. I'm really excited. I'm getting to wear it for like the first time. I hate to disappoint you. I am not currently containing wine, though that probably would have been a good idea before this. So let's see here. Yes, do have your recipe printed out because, yeah, I don't memorize that stuff. Let's see here. Okay, we're whisking it together. There's no need to like sift your baking powder or baking soda. Don't get those mixed up either. And your salt, because you just are going to whisk that together so it's evenly combined. Okay, so now we're going to mix. So we're going to take our butter, which is very brown butter. Corey, you might not like these cookies. Yes, we'll find out. Now be careful, it's going to be hot, and if you are like not waiting a long time, like I'm not waiting a long time, make sure your bowl can handle heat. Don't let it explode everywhere. I know that some Pyrex can handle it these days, but stainless steel is probably going to be your best bet. Okay, so our brown butter is in the bowl, and we're going to add the sugars. So, sorry, I'm trying to make sure that you guys can see. I have these like ridiculously large things. I have not dropped one yet, but it's been a close call a couple of times. Okay, So it is 3/4 cup of granulated white sugar and 3/4 cup of packed light brown sugar. If you had dark brown sugar, I don't think anyone was going to complain. The dark brown sugar police were not going to come arrest you, I promise. So I also have this awesome measuring cup that's 3/4 cup. I know you're all jealous. Okay. And then the same of brown sugar. If you have a bunch of lumps in that, just kind of like break them up a little bit. It's not like hugely important, but you want it to also be packed. So we all know what packing means. Okay, brown sugar, done. So we are going to use a handheld mixer. You can use your stand mixer for this, but I actually really like what this guy, one of my favorite baking blogs, it's called The Scran Line. He's awesome, great guy from Australia. He talks about that he likes making everything he does with a hand mixer, because then he knows and he can show all of you that you can make anything with a hand mixer. You don't need a stand mixer. So either one's fine. So we're just going to mix this together, and she says, beat together on medium-high speed until relatively combined, about 1 minute. So we're just going to make sure, like, if you had any lumps in your brown sugar, this is a great time to get them out. Great time to cool down your butter a little bit. Like mine, I probably didn't wait long enough, but since you're putting air into it, it's getting cooler, and that's important because we're going to put our egg in next, and you don't want it to be really hot when you do that, or else you're going to have scrambled egg cookies, and that's not very good. Okay, so that's kind of the consistency you're looking for. Everyone see that? Okay.
By the way, it's been verified your mom has a sift gun.
I don't even know what that thing's called, so I was going to have to look that up. Okay, so we're going to beat in the vanilla extract and the egg. Or as Corey likes to call this stuff, liquid gold. At Christmas, when I baked all those cookies, we had to buy more, and he was like, $30 for that bottle. I was like, that's actually really cheap. She also says make sure you use a room temperature egg. I never use a room temperature egg, ever. My cookies turn out fine. The other thing everyone always says is use a separate dish to crack your egg into. I'm doing it here because inevitably I will crack it poorly and there will be shell, and I'll be taking the shell out for 10 minutes, so we're not doing that today. By doing this, I can guarantee that it will crack still poorly, but no shell. So the egg goes in. Oh, there is shell. Seriously, don't be like me. There it is. Okay. Inevitably, shell. And then my mom is like screaming at me right now, wash your hands because you touched his egg. Some of those habits die hard, folks. Okay, so now we're going to mix this up. And she says just beat it together. So everything's nice and combined. Like I said, this is like the easiest cookie recipe once you get past the brown butter part. Okay. Now we're going to pour in the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. Now she reminds you that you want to do this slowly. I will also remind you that you want to do this slowly. Otherwise you're going to have flour on your ceiling, which has also happened to me. Also, what was it? Those tomatoes that I crushed.
Crushed tomatoes.
The recipe said that you needed to like crush the whole tomatoes in your hand. It was like this really rustic Italian tomato sauce. The first one I did, it sprayed everywhere, on the ceiling, on the wall. And then Corey says, no more, you can't do it anymore. And I was like, but it says that I have to do that. So I kept doing it, and it was a disaster. It looked like someone died in our kitchen. We were finding bits of tomato sauce for like months. Even when we moved out. Remember that? Yeah. So I'm keeping it on low because, like I said, you don't want to have to clean it off your ceiling.
By the way, we've gotten a comment that I comment on all the time from Brittany about Ina saying good vanilla. She always says things have to be good. One of my favorite comments about Ina.
Oh my god, I love Ina so much. I hope everyone saw that picture, the video of her making the really big Cosmo, because hopefully in like 20 years that'll be me doing that. For my beautiful house in the Hamptons. I don't think you'd be a very good Jeffrey though, Corey. I'm sorry to tell you. You're really good at running errands though, and he's really good at running errands. So maybe you could be an okay Jeffrey. But you don't like chicken the way he does. Okay, so I turned it up because it does get a bit thicker. Sally also mentions that the dough will be kind of greasy. That's because you have like a whole cup of butter in here and not that much flour, which is part of why it tastes so good. I like how you back up there like you think I'm going to spray you with flour, which might happen, so maybe you're being smart. Scrape this down a little bit. So right now is when, well, kind of when, Sally would tell you that you're going to take your dough and you're going to go put it in the refrigerator or the freezer and let it chill. She's really big on chilling her cookie dough. I am not as big on chilling my cookie dough. She likes her cookies to stay like nice and round and not spread very much in the oven. I like my cookies spread a lot. I like a chewy cookie. So we are not going to be chilling the dough. Also because I don't have time. So if these don't turn out, and that's probably why, I will be happy to be wrong. So now what we're going to do is take this away. Sometimes I really hate that that's there.
Round one.
Okay. So we got our cookie dough. Smells amazing, as it should. It has like sugar and butter.
Sugar and spice and everything nice.
That's right. Okay. And make sure you didn't forget an ingredient. The good news is that you all can't taste these, so I guess that's probably good and bad. Because if I screwed up, then you'll never know. So the thing that Sally talks about is, so we're going to use a cookie scoop or an ice cream scoop. She suggests, I think she says 1 tablespoon. I don't know, do these actually have labels? I think this one looks fine. We're going to scoop it, kind of roll it into a ball, and then we're going to dip just one side into sprinkles. That's completely optional. I realize that I don't really have any Easter sprinkles. But the good news is you can do all kinds of stuff. So this is like this clear sanding sugar. You could also use like turbinado sugar, which is like a natural sugar. I like this because it gives a nice crispy top. I also have just some like regular standard rainbow sprinkles.
We have a request for a chef hat and apron from a couple of folks.
I'm going to say what Rachel Ray says, and that I have no training as one, and so no.
Well, you have aprons, you just don't wear them.
That's completely accurate. Okay. Technically, this is a Christmas mix.
Are those sprinkles or jimmies?
I don't know. You're the one that likes to call them jimmies. Now, the thing is if everyone just ignores the Christmas trees, these look Easterish, so I think we're going to go with that. But if your sprinkle mix has like a big thing in there, like don't put that in there. That's going to be a problem. No one wants to bite into that big hunk of sprinkle. And hey, maybe they'll think that they're Easter trees. I don't know.
Or rocks.
Maybe. Okay. So she also says make sure you line your cookie sheets with parchment or with a baking mat, like a Silpat. I don't do that either. This is a whole list of things I don't do that she recommends. I just have a set of like pretty cheap cookie sheets that I only use for cookies. Like Corey is not allowed to make his chicken strips on them or his pizzas or anything else. These are only for cookies, and so they're pristine. So this is like really wet. I guess this is, I'm going to take my rings off because they're going to get all nasty and there's nowhere to clean them. So we're going to take a scoop. Now the glory of the cookie scoop is are all going to be the same size. So we're just going to take and we're going to just dip one side. See, look, there's the tree. It's an Easter tree. And we'll do one of these. Nice and festive. If you are going to chill your dough, make sure you do it after they're already balled up, because apparently once the dough chills, it's like really hard to get them like balled into individual servings. So just FYI, don't do that. I did that too the first time I made these. Like I said, perennially not good at following directions. These are really pretty. They have like little stars too. I wonder why they call this a Christmas mix, aside from the Christmas trees. They probably just had extra Easter mix left over, and then they just added the Christmas trees and said, it's a Christmas mix. I am blowing open the sprinkles industry right now. Okay.
I think we needed some music with that revolution.
We're going to have a feature on Netflix. We're going to have Brittany produce it. The real truth of sprinkles. The true crime story. Okay, we're going to do one more here, and then we're going to put them in the oven and hope that they really don't spread as much as I'm afraid they're going to. But they won't, because we're live, and that would be terribly embarrassing. Okay.
Hey, we got a new one.
We have a new
The
what?
English call sprinkles hundreds of millions.
Hey, that's really cool. That's really, really cool. Okay, and also accurate. Okay, so we're going to put these in, and it says 12 to 13 minutes. I'm going to actually put them in for quite a bit less than that. Just in case they do actually expand greatly. So we're going to try 10. I'm going to wash my hands because they're very greasy.
Okay, I got one question for
Yes.
you. Could you ball them and then put sprinkles on? Or should you sprinkle them first?
I'm confused about the question, because after you ball them, you just dip one side in the sprinkle.
If you put them in the fridge...
You should, what does she say? She says to sprinkle them before you put them in the fridge.
So ball them, sprinkle them,
because I'm afraid
refrigerate.
once they're going to be cooler, the sprinkles are not going to stick as well, and they're going to go everywhere. And you might not like that very much, or the person that's cleaning your kitchen probably won't like that very much. In this case, Corey. So why don't we have some questions, if anyone has questions that have nothing to do with cooking, or if they do have to do with cooking. I'm happy to take questions about books, about my kitchen, about all the times I didn't follow directions, any and all of the above. And I'm assuming that Corey will tell me if any questions come in.
Haven't seen any yet.
I love you all too. Maybe that's good. I'm just an open book.
If I missed your question, please repeat it.
Yeah, our videographer has been busy trying to get the best production value, so if he missed your question. I could also talk about my new book. We could do that.
Someone wants to know why you were wearing shorts.
Because I live in North Carolina and it was 80 degrees today. That's why. Because starting in April in the South, and we just moved here like a year and a half ago, so we learned this last year, is you start wearing shorts in like April and then you just wear them for like 7 months. You just never put long pants on. Ever.
So a question for me, have I ever read any of your books? I have not. I've been harassed for. I don't read books. I read manuals because I'm a computer nerd. So that's kind of where that falls. I have contributed to lots of material.
He has named many books. Let's think of all the ones you've named.
Bite Me is my favorite.
Bite Me. He named Bite Me actually. So really, you kind of named the whole series because then after that, they all had to kind of follow the same format. You also named Getting Lucky in my first trilogy. You named something else. You named Snow Job too.
Yes, I did.
I had literally just told him that I had been invited to be part of Valentine's Inc. And I said all the names on all the books have to have like snow in the title. And he was like, you should call it Snow Job. And then I called it that.
Okay.
Embarrassing everybody that I know.
Next
Yes.
question. Why not dark brown sugar?
I think the reason that Chic doesn't call for dark brown sugar is because you already have the brown butter, so there's a really deeper flavor. And when you try the cookies, you'll see that it's a concentrated sugar cookie flavor. If you did dark brown sugar, they'd probably still taste really good. They just might be a little bit dark tasting. I would probably not brown your butter as much. Just a thought.
I have a few votes of people liking Snow Job as their favorite title.
See, I told you. I mean, and you've also contributed. I've asked you lots of questions over the years. He solved lots of problems. I don't think very many people out here have read Getting Lucky or Lucky Charm, which was my very first book. But he came up with the whole, like, Jack riding the John Deere tractor out into the stadium segment. That was entirely his invention, which is probably the best part of that book, so that really says it all. This Snow Job is a really good title. I don't title books very well, so it's a good thing I married you. Ooh, that one was like really greasy.
We have a question for how did we meet?
How did we meet? We met at a Buffalo Wild Wings, watching a Steelers playoff game. We sat next to each other at the bar, and you thought I was a huge pussy because I wanted to take shots that were Washington apples, and you thought that was really lame. But we watched like 2 games together, and a bunch of other friends of mine. If Libby's watching this, she was there. She knows. And then you just disappeared, which I was very upset. And then we met the next week, and you wanted to be Facebook friends with me because you thought that would be really cool. And it wasn't, but you tried. So that's the story of how we met. We were actually watching a football game, so. If anyone read the acknowledgments in Rivalry, they would know that. I'm going to check the cookies. Oh, they are spreading quite a bit. Don't be like me. Make sure you chill your dough. Seriously.
Follow-up question of who's the bigger sports fanatic?
Oh, that's definitely you. Definitely you. Though I mean, it depends on the sport. What do you think, honey?
Well, there are a lot of sports you couldn't give 2 craps about, so.
Yeah, but then there are some things that I like curling, that you think are really lame.
I don't think curling's lame.
Yes, you do.
I can only watch it so. I can only watch it so long. Come on, what was the one we watched the other? Oh, we watched the cornhole tournament the other day.
Cornhole, that is on ESPN. The National Cornhole Tournament is a sport on ESPN now. That's just messed up.
The Ocho.
I will not be making a book that is about cornhole. Don't worry. It's fun, but not that fun. What other fun little tidbits about me and you?
Those don't look like sprinkles.
These are sprinkles.
Oh,
These just have the big remember I said don't use the big
I thought
pieces.
those were the stars.
No, well this does have stars. It's a mix, honey. But the problem is that they put these really big pieces in and then you have to pull them out. Sorry, this is really boring for everybody that's watching.
So question, what about chilling the cookie sheets? Will that help? Or have any impact?
So she actually recommends, and I did not follow this instruction the first time I did it. She recommends balling all your cookie dough, dipping it in the sprinkles, putting it on a cookie sheet, and putting the entire thing in the fridge or the freezer. You know, why don't we do this? We're going to put this one in. And I mean, I think she says half an hour. I think that's too much. Oh.
Where are you gonna put that?
Shut up, I'm gonna find a place. See? That's bad. You really shouldn't be showing this.
Oh yeah, it's live.
This is the entertainment factor. Me trying to do things about it.
I'm gonna zoom in for the slide. When it slides out.
There we go. It's mostly balanced. Okay. Everyone should keep watching for when I open the refrigerator door again and it comes out at me. Okay. So actually, these are looking pretty good. So the key with these is you want to make sure that you don't overcook them. You want them to be slightly brown on the underside. You leave them on the pan for at least 5 minutes before you take them off after you take them out of the oven. So they will continue to cook. And if you cook them perfectly through in the oven and then take them out and leave them to continue cooking for another 5 minutes on the pan, then they will be overcooked. So that was my lecture for the day. No one likes overcooked cookies.
Dogs.
We don't have a dog. If Delilah was here, we would give her one, but she's not here, so. And Earl's not here because he's upstairs in his bed.
He won't eat cookies.
No, he won't. Okay, well, I can talk a little bit about the book that I'm writing right now, which, if you've been paying any attention, is called Hazardous Things, and it is the 3rd Star Shadow book. It's about Felix and Max. Max, of course, is the drummer, and Felix is Leo's younger brother, who's like the PA/manager. It's going really well. I'm more than halfway through. Kelly, who's probably not watching this because she's a smart lady, thinks it's really good. So if we believe her at all, it will be enjoyable. And that will be out in late May, I hope. Fingers crossed. Of course, this is probably recorded for posterity, so. And then the 4 Star Shadow book, I'm really hoping to actually release right after that, like within 4 weeks. And that is basically like a slight continuation of Leo and Caleb's story, and then it will also kind of wrap up all 4 books in a nice, neat little happy bow. So that series will be finished by the end of June. So I'm super excited to wrap this up. What are you looking at? The videographer wants to see the cookies. They need another minute or 2. Can you see them? So see how they started? Actually, they didn't expand very much. So I think I was actually okay. Like I said, if you like to have like a big rounded cookie that doesn't expand very much, it's a really good idea to chill your cookie dough. Now, some cookie dough, you want to chill it before you scoop, and other ones you want to scoop after, or scoop and then chill. I make this chocolate one with toffee pieces that you really, really do not want to scoop. Wait. Here we go, the moment when Bethany's brain falls apart. You want to scoop first, then chill. I made this mistake 2 Christmases ago and had to throw a whole batch of cookie dough away because it was like concrete. So don't do that. But, like I said, Sally's Baking Addiction is a great blog. I love all of her recipes. She tests so much. I've never had a bad recipe from her. So if you ever need a baking source. You're making all these faces back here. It's very distracting. He's actually behaved really well. Usually, he's always a joker. So, the other thing I want to talk about is, do we stop making faces? Do we want to do more of these, and what do you want me to make? I was actually thinking of making Corey's favorite dinner, which is a really easy, great recipe, especially for right now because it's very easily adaptable and substitutions are simple. It's chicken and mustard sauce. So that's a potential that we could do. Also, I've had a request for French bread pizza, which is kind of an inside joke between us because I made it a bunch when we first started dating, but never when he was there, and then I never made it for him ever. So maybe we'll make French bread pizza if I can get a hold of French bread, which might not happen. But if you have any other suggestions or ideas or things you would like to see me attempt, let me know.
Nothing specific yet. Definitely more Facebook recipe making. Let's see here.
Oh, these are done.
You also, I have one other question for you when we
Yes,
get
one
back.
more question.
Are you considering writing any other genres,
Like
paranormal?
oh God, no.
Where are you going?
I'm getting the cookies out of the fridge.
Thought you were running off. Slow.
Okay. So let's try these as a test. So I think these were 12 minutes. I think I'm going to do 11. So let's leave these for a couple minutes. Hey, look, you can see my trees all melted, so you can't really tell that they're Christmas cookies. But you can see that the edges have a little bit of brownness. These are real delicate though, so you don't want to be too, but yeah, you can see that it's brown on the bottom, but you don't want to overcook. But they didn't actually spread that much, so good for me. Other genres I have considered writing, not really anything. My plan, which I think I've sort of shared in the group, is basically going forward is chefs. So the food truck series, which will start with Wyatt's brother Tony from Catch Me. He will start off the food truck series that will be coming out in the summer. And then there will be another sports romance in the fall. That will really be my focus going forward, is the food truck books and probably standalone sports romances going forward. So.
Couple of food requests.
Yes.
Poaching an egg.
Oh God.
And soups.
Soups. Oh, I love soups. Okay, yeah, we can definitely do soups.
Yeah, but that's gonna have to wait until the fall.
No, honey, other places are not already at 80 degrees.
Well, yeah, there's been a few people talking about it being like 11 or 12 degrees, so
Yeah.
where they're at. So they want some soup.
Okay, we can do soups. You know, I love soup. Soup is one of my favorite things. We can definitely do soups. And what was the other one? Oh God, poaching an egg. I've never done that before. Wouldn't it be fun to do that for the first time on Facebook Live? No. But we could try it. I mean, I'm pretty much game for anything. I was actually talking to Angela, and I was trying to find a recipe for brioche, and there was this recipe that said no knead and super easy, but it had like 15 million steps and 5 different rises that were all different, and I was like, yeah, we're not attempting that. That's too much work. Oh, we should probably take these off the sheet now. So the other thing that is, if you're going to be baking cookies on a regular basis, the cookie, what is this called?
Rack?
Cookie rack. The cooling rack.
Cooling
oh my
rack.
God.
You gave Cookie,
Can
I
you
knew.
believe that I write for a living? I really can't.
That was one of those moments where you're screaming from the other room for a word that's something like, and you describe to me, and I have to come up with what it is.
That happens often because I turn my internet off on my phone and on the computer to write in like bursts, and so like I'm stuck in the middle of a sentence trying to think of a word, and I can't get on the internet and look for it. So you know, the person that is the closest to me, that is the person that gets to tell me what the word is I'm looking for, is Corey. So you want to try one?
Later.
No, not now. He's afraid they're really gross.
I don't have a third hand.
Oh. Oh, I'm going to try this one that's kind of boring looking. This is the one that's just the sparkling sugar, so you can kind of see it's like very elegant. You can also get like different colored sparkling sugars. And if you didn't have any sprinkles at all, these would still be delicious. That's really good. Welcome to quarantine where you gain 50 pounds from all the baking you're doing. So you can see these are not spreading as much. I only had them in the fridge for like, what, 8 minutes maybe? But she just have like a nice chewiness to them that I really like. But I think the problem is that Sally and I just like different kinds of cookies. Like,
Oh, by the way, I've been corrected. It was 11 Celsius, not 11 Fahrenheit, which is like 52 degrees.
I'm shocked you didn't know what Celsius was.
I didn't get a Celsius. I just got an 11. And being the American I am, I just assumed Fahrenheit.
Right. You're an American. Anyway, cookie racks, cooling racks are awesome things. It's worth an investment. I have like 10 of these because I make an absolute huge amount of cookies at Christmas. Instead of like 2 of these is like, well, normally like $10 on Amazon and you'll get them the next day. Obviously not right now, unless they consider this an essential product, which I would consider an essential product. Any other questions? Burning thoughts? Good, because I'm running out of things to say. I really hope you enjoy the cookies. I hope you make some. It's not much, but it kind of like gives a little happy thought when you wake up in the morning and think, oh, I have fresh cookies that I can eat for breakfast.
Have you posted the recipe already, or is that later?
Yes, I have posted the recipe twice. It is a single post by itself in the group, and also as a comment on the first announcement post of the Facebook Live. So make sure you go check it out. Sally's Baking Addiction. She also has 2 cookbooks out, both of which are amazing. She attempts candy, which I have yet to attempt.
Request for Greek chicken.
Greek chicken. Is that from my mother? Okay, yes, I will give you that is a great, hey, you know, we could do a Facebook Live. I could make the marinade and then we could switch and I could video while you grill. Because Corey's a great griller. He is the best griller. So maybe we'll explore that option.
Is that spiked?
No, it's not spiked. No. It was not a bad day. It was a good day. It's a good day. I'm really glad we did this and I hope we can do it again. Thank you everyone for coming, and hope everyone stays safe and happy and healthy.